these points that you're making with regards to just wider British cultural trends, which, as you pointed out from various bits of data today and within your book, and I think just anyone without a data set in front of them can look around and see the deleterious effects of this fraying of the social fabric is. We need, I think probably a big takeaway from this conversation is we need to get to talking about culture more, not in a way that somehow divides us all, but about the things that we want to cultivate as a nation and to promote that actually leads to the health of all of us, instead of thinking that everything has to be down to either economics or social activist policies or just general technocratic policies. So definitely with you on that one. And that probably leads us nicely onto the last question, Rakib. I know we're coming up to the end of time. Is how do you think that business and political leaders can play their part, in your words, to create a civic model of national identity rooted in respect for the rule of law, social cohesion, and equality of opportunity?
Well, I think that would span various spheres of British life. I think that equality of opportunity that you mentioned, that's just something that we shouldn't sacrifice on the altar of DEI. I think that what's very clear to me is that we need to focus more on security and stability, two terms that we've mentioned quite a bit in this conversation. And in a way, I find it quite remarkable that DEI has wormed its way into defense and security. It's absolutely remarkable. And I think what we need to do, we need to promote merit. That's the key. We want the merit-based allocation of rewards and opportunities in modern Britain. Not every institution has to be perfectly reflective of the British general population. Okay, that's something that we need to make absolutely clear. We have uncomfortable rates of obesity in the UK. Do you want that rate to be reflected in the Met Police, in the military? Probably not. Probably not. So I think what you want people who are well skilled and motivated. I think those, and they also need to be treated well. So, for example, if you look at the military, I'll just make this point very quickly. Not particularly great rates of pay, and the housing provided can be of a very poor quality. So I think that the key thing here is that security and stability, but also dignity, especially people who genuinely putting their own personal security on the line for our collective well-being. So I think we need to focus more on those kind of themes. I think at the moment there's a great deal of emphasis on race, ethnicity, other protected characteristics. We need to return to the bread and butter of promoting achievement and excellence, and ultimately making sure how jobs are allocated, how opportunities are rewarded is ultimately based on merit and ability, not on one's not based on one's protected characteristics.
I'd agree with all those things, and I'd add something to it, which is, and I know it's a phrase that can get bandied around a lot, and can also be used for bad purposes. But I'm going to talk about the common good, and the common good in the sense that on top of trying to focus on excellence and merit, is that we ought to try to get back to cultivating leaders and people in positions of influence to aspire for nobility in some way, to try to cultivate virtue and what it means to be of good character, and that we're all aiming to bring people up along with us in our own ways, without, as we've talked about so much today, falling back on really simplistic policy goals and a set bullet point list of things that you need to do to right the wrongs of society, which then cuts against all the points that you've just made. Whether we'll see that, I don't know. If we see people saying let's follow that Queen Elizabeth II model and have that kind of way of being that everyone looks up to, who knows? But I think we need a combination of meritocracy plus nobility. But whether that comes back into fashion is another point entirely.